think it has stopped now.
Yes, we are recording now.
Yeah, yeah, now it's on. Great. So good morning to the students joining from Tajikistan. Sorry, good afternoon to students joining from Tajikistan, and good morning to students who are joining from Spain. And today we have our third session on education for technology literacy and inclusion. In the past classes, we have discussed about pivot tables. We've discussed about naming in terms of how do we mix two different cells through concatenate function, through upper function, which is for capital, lowercase for lower, then proper to have first letter capital. So these are different topics we have covered till now. Today we'll be starting with the basic function of data validation. So yes. So before I start, I have also shared the file that we'll be using today. Just like all the classes, I'm going to share a link with you, which you can use to download the file. It's been shared in the Microsoft Teams chat. So I request everybody to use that link and download the file, and we can begin from there. And now I'll just start sharing my screen and we can begin. Yes. I hope it's visible to everybody. Hello? Yes. So
Yes, yes.
great. So now we'll start with data validation. So just as a basic, so what data validation is, you can start with a blank sheet as well for data validation. While I teach, I'll also explain you what data validation is. So data validation is used to so basically it is to avoid errors in any sheet or any data that has been collected. So for example, you need to collect data for a particular event that is happening. For example, you're traveling from one place to another. So, and you need to organize an event regarding that. So there are people who are traveling with you, or you need to manage that. So if I say there are people, let me, for the ease of this class, let me name people with A, B, C, D. So I'll drag this down, and I have has taken that as a. Just a second. So we can just manually change it. Hmm. So let's assume that these six people are traveling together, and we need to ensure that they don't write any wrong information. So for this, for example, if I say that they are traveling from and traveling to where. So now I need to give them options. So let me have some countries: Spain, Tajikistan, India, and let's have USA and China. So they need to give options among these. So I want that they don't make any mistake and they don't type anything else or they don't type any wrong information here. So to ensure that, what I will begin with, I will go to the data tab, and in the data tab, you'll see this option, data validation, in the center part, just below flash fill and remove duplicates. Now I will press here. So now it will give me a validation criteria. So what does a validation criteria mean? Is that I want the person to only fill what options that I give. So for example, when you are scrolling through websites, we have a drop down menu. So I say I want a drop down menu of list. And now when I say list, it now asks me source. What is my source? So I need to give a source to it. So for example, I give this as my source. which is the list of these countries. Now, if now there's an input message as well. If I want that when people are typing, I want a message to come. I'll show you how the message in Excel looks like. So if I
Yes,
say,
Kavita. Yes, Kavita.
if I say originating country,
Listen.
and over here I say country where you are traveling from. And if I press an OK to this, so now I'll also zoom in so that in case you're not able to see, it's more easily visible. Yes. So now, as I come here, you see there is an option here of a drop down where the message that I wrote, originating country and country where it comes as a message, as a dialog box. So that way it becomes easier for a person who is using this sheet to mention. So if I go a drop down, now I automatically have these as my options. And for example, I can choose any of these and I can quickly also drag this. But I don't want one same country. So I can apply it to all of this as well. Yeah, now I have this here as well. Similarly, I can apply it to here as well. So now if I'm collating data, I can just directly from the people who have to give answers, they can say that they're traveling from Spain to Tajikistan, or somebody who's traveling from USA to Tajikistan. So the, the sheet that we are giving to somebody, that person need not type each and everything down. So this way the data gets validated, and in case somebody wants to ensure that there are no errors in it, we can ensure that, so this allows for errors to be minimized. How? So in here, if I want to type, for example, Portugal, it will not allow me to type Portugal. It because it says that this value does not match the data validation restrictions defined for the cell. Why? Because it will only allow me for what I am allowing the data to explain or to tell, which is the countries that I mentioned: Spain, Tajikistan, India, US, China, for example. Similarly, now if I cancel this, now this is gone. So also sometimes this is, and before I move on from here, anybody has doubts in what I did here? I can repeat if you are facing problem. Also, please keep trying yourself also, because this is something that I did from scratch so that everybody is able to follow me along with it. Similarly, I'll give one more example. If you're collecting data of, for example, mm, any basic, so that a lot of times how I use it, if I want to send out information and collect some data from people, what I'm trying to do, I say I want to have a simple option of yes, no, and maybe. So again, if for example you're organizing an event or a party and you want to ensure that people give definite answers, so again I go here, I give it a list, I tell my source, which over here is this, and again I can have a yes, no, and maybe option for any sheet that I have. So now this way, if I type anything else, it will not take this data. Yes, I am defining the data for the sheet, and the data that I have defined, it will only and only accept that data, not anything else. This is how data validation functions. So I have explained to you the dialog box as well. How you can have a dialog box is, again, you when we go to data valid, and this is also applicable to date, time, text length. For example, you want somebody to not type too much. For example, you're asking a question to somebody and you want them to write only in 10 words or only in 10 characters. I can say text length minimum. So a lot of times when we are typing on the internet, there are some text boxes which have a minimum description. For example, for passwords, a password to have minimum 8 characters but maximum 16. So for example, if I say I want to have minimum 5 and maximum 10, and I apply this here. So at this side, I can only write 5 characters, but if I write more than 5, it will not accept. I'll show how. For example, I say I am, I type my name here. It will not accept this because it is more than 5 characters. Let me do a 40. So the command given is more than 5 but less than 10. So if it is less than 5, for example 3, it will not accept this. So this rule is something which we can apply to anything that we want in terms of how we can validate the data. And the way we want the data, we can define it. And as per that, we can then receive our data. And similarly, this rule can be changed for time, for decimal, for whole number. For example, we want a whole number. We want our answers between 1 to 10. So if I write 5, it will accept it. But if I write 11, it will not accept it. That's how we can ensure that the range that we want, we only receive that and not anything outside of the range. Is everything clear here? Please also
Yes.
keep practicing while we are going through it. And now I want to do the same in an Excel. So in a Google Sheet, I'll try to do the same now in a Google Sheet so that you're able to see. It differs a little bit on the Google Sheets. That's why I'm also covering the Google Sheets part here. So I'll just share my screen with the Google Sheet. Yes. So can you see the screen now? Yes. So again, I'll type. Great. So as a sample, I did take ABCD and I want to do it. If I want to do it on a Google Sheet, I again go to data, and it is a little simple to do it on Google Sheets. So that's why, yes. So yeah, you come here on data tab. We go to this option called data validation. I press here data validation. The difference in Google Sheets is that we need to do it through add rules. So I press on go on add rules. Now it tells me options. So do I want it a drop down? I want to have it in a text format. I want to have it in an email format. I want to have it with a date format, date before, on, or after, or date in between. For example, if somebody is traveling and you want the travel dates to be the way you want it. For example, you want the travel dates to be between 10th of November and 15th of November. So you can also, we can fix that. Similarly, there's a function of greater than, less than, a checkbox like this. Let's go for drop down. And if I want to give an option of, for example, yes, no, can I have more, maybe, or anything. So again, I come here and it shows me as a Dropbox. So the only small differences in a Google Sheet, it is mentioned as a rule. So these are the rules that are there. And I can add multiple rules as well. So for example, I want text which does not contain, I can define it the way I want it. Or if I want to have text which is in between numbers. So for example, one more way that let's take that, for example, you're writing marks of students and you want to write it, you want to ensure that there are no mistakes made. So if I have to give marks out of 100, 100 is maximum marks. So by chance, if somebody types extra, so for example, I give it a range here, that the marks should be in between 1 and 100. So now any value that I put, which is like 24, it will take 60. Yeah, this needs to be expanded here. So if there is a number which is going beyond a particular area, it will not take. So I add the rule here again. The number which is in between 1 and 100, and the sheets that I want are till these are my sheets. And so I apply it here. Now, so now if I say this, the the Google Sheets tell me it's an invalid input, and the input between should be between 1 and 100. So that way, if there is an error made by anybody while filling this, it will automatically be visible and we'll be able to identify these errors. And 54, 89, all these numbers it will accept. But if it's going beyond, it will flag it as an error. So I hope everybody was able to understand this. Now I will move to the next topic. So we have covered data validation. Now I will move to VLOOKUP. So yeah, so this is again back to the same file that we were using. And so VLOOKUP is something which is very important when we are working again with large data sets. So what VLOOKUP does, VLOOKUP helps in finding a value in a large data set, and I can get all the important information about that value in that data set. For example, um, so can somebody tell me what does V stand for in the VLOOKUP term? Can anybody guess it in the chat? So in Excel, the sheets are designed in two major ways, vertically and horizontally. VLOOKUP stands for vertical, which is a vertical lookup. So for example, now if I want to apply here, so just very carefully look at the formula. So let me type the term Andre. Let me type the term Andre here. And now what I want to do, I want to find out the region in which Andre is working. So I go here, I do an is equal to sign, and I use the formula V lookup, double click on it. So now just very carefully look at how this formula works. So the first pension, first item, first variable in the VLOOKUP formula is lookup value. I hope it is visible to you. So first one is lookup value. I say my lookup value is Andre. I put Andre here. And now I want to see, I want to give a range to my lookup area, that what is the area or what is the range that I'm finding for. So I select this as my data set. This is my range. I selected this. Now Excel knows that this is the range that we are working with. And now the second one is, now after range, I need to give a table array to VLOOKUP. So what does that basically mean is, I did not select this. Yeah, this is my value. Now this is my range. And now I want to find the column index. So now just be very carefully understand what column index means here. So column index is in the data that I'm working with, what are the different columns that I'm working with. So as you can see, this is first name, this is column 1, this is column 2, this is column 3, column 4, column 5, column 6. So these are the 6 columns that I have. I need to tell Excel now which columns information do I want. So for example, I want information about Um, about the department. So department is one, two, three, third column. I press a comma and I press column three. Now, Excel will ask me what is the kind of match, what kind of a lookup value am I looking at? So there are two types of lookup value. One is the first one, as you can see, approximate match. When the we are not able to find, when we are working with large data sets, approximate match is used. For right now, we'll go for exact match. So I go here and now I close my formula. Great. So now, as you can see, I can see the department of the employee, Andre. The department is marketing, as you can see. Now, I'll show you the beauty of VLOOKUP. What VLOOKUP can do now, if I type another name, for example, let me type this name, Mira. You see, the department automatically changed because I had already inserted this value. Similarly, if I drag it here and if I write names of people, it tells me the automatically it tells me the department or the particular area that person works with. You see how the information that I want, I just need to tell it to VLOOKUP what do I want, and it will automatically tell it that what is the department of the person or whichever information that I need. Similarly, in my formula, if I change it from third column, which was department, to, for example, let me change the range. So if I also include this, and if I want to know the salary of each and every person directly, so for example, for this, I will press 7 here. And yeah, as you can see, I automatically got the salary of each and every person for that particular role as per the names that I had. So VLOOKUP is very useful when again we are working with large data sets and we want to find specific information. I'll give you example from the from last class assignment that I gave, the IMDb assignment. So in that, through VLOOKUP, I can directly find all the information about the film that you want as per the database that you have. And as the word explains, lookup is to just find, type a word, type what word can be film, name of the person, location, etc., and it will automatically give us the value of the particular variable that we are finding. And yes, it might have been a little heavy. So if you have any doubts, tell me. I can explain this again if you have not been able to understand it. And
Yeah, I didn't
yes.
understand why did you write false in the formula, sorry.
Sure, sure. So basically, when we are writing the VLOOKUP formula, as per Excel,
Mhm.
Excel understands. So basically, we need to tell which kind of a match are we looking. If I say
Yeah.
true, true is an approximate match. As per the Excel's language, true
Hmm.
stands for approximate. So if I say approximate match, because when we work, so at in when we say approximate match, Excel will try to find more than 50% similarity. If it is
Oh,
able to find more than 50% similarity, it will accept it. In false, false
hmm.
stands for exact match. So
Okay.
exact match will help us directly exactly match the name. So for example,
Okay.
if I have false here and I change the name and I write wrong spellings, it will not give
Yeah.
me any answer
Okay. Okay.
because it is looking for exact match
Yeah.
when the spellings are wrong.
But if you write true, it will come. Is that so?
It should
Or
come, but
no?
again, it depends on if Excel is able to find that out or not. Let's try it, but it's always
The
safe
true.
to, yeah, it
Okay.
still takes it. Yeah,
Hmm.
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
So I'll just apply VLOOKUP once more, and now this time I'll apply it on the IMDb database that was given to everybody. So yes. So for example, we have the IMDb database with us. I hope everybody saw this database and you learned a lot while working on the assignment. So for example, I want to pick up information about, let's say, I go down here and I want to have information about a particular film. So I go VLOOKUP, and now I need to choose a particular film. Let's say that I choose, I write in one of the movies here, The Visit, this one. I write in this movie here and I say is equal to, and VLOOKUP, choose this, comma, I decide a range. My range, for example, is this. This entire information is my range. And from this, I want to now find and need to give column index number. So column index number, this is 1, 2, 3, 4. And now I want to, for example, find out what is the particular, let's say, you can find any, let's type anything random. Let me type 8 and let me say at false. If I close it tells me Ocean James, that Ocean James was the lead actor. It tells me this automatically. Similarly, if I drag this, because I have not selected, it's still at 8. So if I change it to 5, I need to type the formula again there. So it can automatically give me the information that I want. Here, if I change 8 and write 5, it will give me the language of the film. Similarly, if I change this to 4, horror, the kind of genre of the film. So this way I can find any information about the film and use this as a way to quickly scroll through data and understand data. Any doubts here, or we can move further to the next topic? Please try practicing it yourself also while we are working on it. This way you'll be able to understand how it functions, and otherwise you may forget the concepts. Just for everybody's understanding, I'll repeat VLOOKUP once more. It's very useful tool. So again, this is another data set. It is available in the file that I have shared. I apply the formula VLOOKUP. First is lookup value. What value am I looking for? For example, I'm looking for, let me look for the name, and it can find anything in regards to that. So let me find the name Maron. I can type it here. I can type it in the beginning itself. I type the name Maron here. Go on VLOOKUP. Choose the lookup value. Now I need to choose the table. I choose this as my entire table. And now I give column index number. Again, column index number starts from left to right. 1, column 2, column 3, column 4, column 5, column 6, column 7, column 8, column 9, column 10. So I want to know which seat Maron has. So I say column number 10, and I want to have an exact match, and I close it. So it tells me which seat the person has. The person is sitting on a window seat. If I change the name and I want to check the name for Birman, I get to see Birman is at aisle seat. So I don't need to check it from there. In the Spanish version, yes, Spanish version, VLOOKUP is Pascual. Thanks. Thank you. And now next, if I similarly want to check for Dugan, Dugan is also at the aisle seat. Let me check for calls. Calls it at the is at the window seat. So similarly, this can be applied. I can write more names here. Like I write Moore's name. I wrote sips. I get his seat. I want to see for picker. I get picker's seat. And similarly now, if I write for pits, I get that seat. So as the name I type, I can get the seat preference. And similarly, I can also choose anything. I can go and check wage as well. Wage is column 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I type 7 here and I get the wage of all the people. Yes. Anybody has any doubt?
Sorry, I have one question. What
Yes.
happens if there are two cells with the same value?
So when there are two cells with the same value, Excel chooses.
Yeah, two cells with the same name. For example, two Dagan cell, but there are two different people
Mhm.
that his name is the same.
Yes. So, for example, here we don't have any value which is repeating except this name, but all the values of this person is also the same. So, Excel looks it in ascending order. The name which appears first, that will be shown because it looks at the data in an ascending order. But
Okay,
thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Okay.
That was a very good question. This is a limitation of VLOOKUP, and this limitation can be resolved with the function that we have count. For example, we have the data of trained. So yesterday we learned about count function. So let me apply the count function here. So if I want to count how many people are trained and how many people are not trained, I put a count here, count formula, count count, and I want to say, can anybody based on yesterday's class tell me which count function will be used here? I want to calculate the number of yes and number of no. Any guesses here? Which count function should we use? I'll give a hint. So we need to count the yes and no values. Correct, Carmen. That's great. Yes, COUNTIF. So I go on COUNTIF. Now the first variable that I need to give is range. So this range I give. So, so this is my range. And next I want to give a criteria. So can you tell me what will I write? Can someone tell me what will I write here? You can use the chat or you can speak as well. Thank you, Patricia, ma'am, for telling the Spanish version. So since we need to find yes, I will type yes here and I will. So one important thing to note here is we need to type yes with inverted commas open. We need to write inside and then inverted commas close. And then I close the bracket. Now it tells me 22 people are yes, which are trained. And now similarly, if I want to find it for no, I will type count if. I will select my data. The data I've selected. I will give it another criteria, which is no. Yes, it tells me 20 people, 22 people are yes, and 20 people are no. This is the count if function. It will only count as per the criteria that I give it. Yes. So similarly, we can do it for window and aisle. Give this a range. This is my range. I give it the criteria window. It gives me 23 people a window automatically, and there will be 21 people who are there in aisle basic. So now moving on to the next topic, we covered data validation, we covered VLOOKUP. Now we'll be talking about the Gantt chart. So Gantt chart is very important when we are working with timelines. How it can be used. So yes, yes. So Gantt chart can be used in planning for your business related plans or any plans. I'll show some sample Gantt charts and then we'll make one. So for example, this is a Gantt chart on risk analysis. So if you're working on a project and you need to tell a timeline. So you tell that first what will you do starting from first hour. So this is just basically we color the boxes, the cells, and we use that to explain our project. For example, this is one for a dissertation. In your thesis, for example, how much time will you take in topic finding? Week one, week two, your weeks. You can also mention your dates, how much time you will give to literature review, to methodology, to data collection. This way, you can visually explain your timeline, how it looks like. So now this is just to show you some of the how some of the Gantt charts look like. This is how generally Gantt charts look like. We'll create one, and it's very something which is very intuitively you can design it. So now what we can do, we will start a new sheet, and over here let's start with a business. Since there are a lot of students from commerce and business area, we'll start with a business on a business plan, how you can make your Gantt chart. So let me type business plan here. I'll merge this so that it looks good and beautiful. Yeah, so bold. Let's give it a good color. Now let's say we want to start with ideation phase first, in which I've mentioned different activities. And the way I'm doing it, you can also do it in a different separate way as well. So I mentioned one as my ideation phase. Then I need to give it different values. Now next I go for planning. And in ideation, I may mention group discussions, mm, idea assessment. I'm not a business student, so I may not be able to mention the exact steps the way you are taught. But the idea is to use Excel in a way that we can do a timeline planning. So let me write the months here. For example, I mentioned January, February, and we can automatically drag it and it will give me till the end of the year, till December. The drag feature can save your time and you don't need to type in everything. Now, for example, I want to give initial 3 months for this. Now I will color it the way I want. Color it like this. For planning, I want to start it like this, and I color it in different color. And similarly, I mentioned here. So I mentioned here the execution. Yes. So I can keep it here and drag it till here. And this way, so this is Gantt chart. Making a Gantt chart takes time. So this way you can make beautiful Gantt charts. I have some samples that I'm showing you here. These are some of the samples. So this way you can mention it as per the way you want with specific dates and details as well. So this way, when you're submitting your assignments or when you're doing your real business planning, you can use these and explain everything. Like if you want to describe the phases that you are in, your life of business strengths, business weaknesses, research phase, potential opportunities, how much progress you're making. All of this you can use with these. I can also share these with students. So if you want, you can make use of these for your work and for your future career planning. This is again on a project life cycle, how many weeks and how do you want to plan it. This is how a Gantt chart looks like, and it's very important for timeline based planning, how you want to plan your timelines. And this is again one for business proposal.
Can I ask something, Bakshit?
Yes, yes.
Sorry for that. I usually do this Gantt chart on another software called GANT.
Mm-hmm.
Can we upload the Gantt chart here to the Excel and then do the commands that you're teaching? Because the Gantt chart, it's a free software.
Mm-hmm.
If you give me, I can share what my student just did it, and by that you can have a paired scheme, and you can have the Gantt, and you can have, for example, if you're putting some human resources burnout with
Mm-hmm.
too much work,
Mm-hmm.
that's the software that does everything. Do you think with that upload of that software here, we can do other things that Excel does, as you are now explaining?
So I have not used the software that you have mentioned. I think it
Mm,
should be able to work here. One, I think
mm,
Gantt chart, I think the Gantt software you're mentioning, it
mm,
is, I mean, I am aware of some different softwares which are there online, but I think one advantage with Excel is that on these if I'm making anything on these, the
mm,
customization chance, that possibility of customizing, right now I just have a timeline, but if I add numbers here and if I want to customize them, the
mm,
the Excel will provide more flexibility in that, but it is time consuming to make Gantt chart in Excel. That way,
mm.
if you want, you can share the link of the tool that you're mentioning, and
Okay.
I, I think
I can
students
show you
can.
the output if you'd like for everybody to
Sure, sure,
see.
sure. I'll stop sharing the screen.
Okay, let me just see. Sorry for interrupting. It is very interesting what you're showing. But I was trying to see if it's possible to improve my classes on that. Let me see. Subjects, cultural management 3. Who had the best mark now? Let me see. I don't remember. Let me just check to show one that it's nice and beautiful for everybody. Who are the best mark? Let me see a name here. Can be Francisco. Let me see Francisco. Sorry. Oh, we had everything here. It's not the best person. I'm just opening. Takes a little bit of time. So let me see, where are you? Where can I share? Here. What's the button of sharing? Partilhar. It doesn't let me. Doesn't he like the software? Let me see. I don't want to take your time. Why I have the things open? I don't understand why can't I share it? Oh, probably doesn't let.
Is it, can you share it, the link maybe in the chat, if that will help?
Of the Gantt chart.
Yeah.
Mm, because I can either share because they all have to calculate or the steps. This is written in Portuguese. Why can't I? I was wondering why can't I share with you the software? Only accepts the PDFs, doesn't accept. Yeah, because it shows. Yeah, it doesn't accept either my Excel or because I have both. Well, I have to look for the software of this and then you continue, okay? And I'll put it on the chat. Sorry for that. It'd be
No
nice to
problem.
share. I
Maybe.
can send. I can send by what, by chat this? I don't know. I want to put the attachment. What do I put the attachment here? I can only write. Doesn't let me put an attachment. Probably this is not ready for
And
me.
yeah, maybe it's, or the
Yeah.
permission for sharing. I'm not sure what is stopping that.
Yeah. Oh, don't worry. I'll send. I'll send probably to Lang or Patricia, and then you can share with everybody.
Excuse me, Baxis and Maria
Yes.
Inés, sorry. I think we have to finish because
Yeah.
all of us here have class at 10, 11,
Yeah.
10. So perhaps 2 minutes or 3 minutes more, but we have to leave. So please,
Okay.
tomorrow we can follow on it. Sorry.
Okay.
There
I'll
was
send to one of you the attachments, and then you can share. Sorry for that.
no inconvenience.
Sure. Okay, you can continue, Bakshish.
Thank you. Thank you. So, yes. So basically, everything that we discussed today. So we've mostly covered everything. Now we are left with about the charts and the diagrams that we can make through using Excel. So this is also something that we made while we were working on the other classes. In one of our previous classes, we made one of the charts. I'll show one of those charts that we made. Yes. Yes. So this is one of the charts that we had made yesterday. So Excel, basically with Excel, we can make different kinds of charts, and it again depends on the data that we are using. For example, we have this data, and let's try to make a chart based on this basic data that we have. So if, for example, I want to make a chart on the people who are working in different fields. So if I go and select this much data and I go to recommended charts, it will give me different options. So this is one option. This is a recommended chart that Excel is automatically recommending that. So this will tell me the number of people in this department. For example, this is what I make. The number of people in different departments. Very basic, but it gives me an understanding of how the charts can be made. I can change this now. So if I go on this option, I can stay in this and I can change the count of department. I can change anything that I want. Similarly, if I want, I can, yes, I was at the data. Mm, yeah, I was here at the data. So similarly, if I want, I can also, so for this, can anybody suggest me which kind of a chart is good for this data? This is seat preference. I want to understand which types of seats are more or less. So can anybody tell me which kind of chart will be good here? So I'll give some options. One, we can look at a pie chart, or do you think we can use a histogram or a column chart? Or do you think we can use a scatter plot? A scatter plot is also something which is very useful in different things. Can anybody tell me which kind of chart will be best useful for this case? I we just have two options, aisle and window. What chart will tell me quickly? Meanwhile, let's see what Excel tells us.
Window.
Sorry, can you repeat? Yeah, window is higher, but visually speaking, I think a pie chart will be very good, for example. Okay, it's showing me like this, but if I go here and I say that I want a pie chart, so yeah, it gives me option that what kind of a pie chart do I want. For some reason, Excel is showing it like this, but it comes like a visual diagram. Similarly, yeah, think there's an internal software issue with Excel. Why? That's why it's showing like this. But as you can see here, it comes like this as a diagram. I have also created a very huge repository of charts and data, how these diagrams are. I will share it with all of you after the class, and you can also check through this. Also, similarly, if I need to check the diagrams from training will also give me a very basic level of this thing. Let me do it for the state. I select all this data and go for recommended. So it tells me the count of it. Now I can change it to whichever way I want. So there are different kinds of charts which are there. This is histogram, waterfall, all these different kinds of charts and diagrams we can use when we are working. For some reason, my Excel is showing like this. I can try to do the same on a Google Sheet as well. There's an internal error in Excel. And before I end this class, I also wanted to show. Yes,
Yeah, maybe but
yes.
you need to wrap up because people have to move out, no? So you just
Okay,
keep.
okay. Yeah, I'll wrap up in 2 minutes. Yeah. So before we end today's class, you saw the recommended charts, you saw VLOOKUP data validation. I'll show one extra feature of Excel which can only be started once we go and we log it in. So in your Excel, go to the file option. After going to file, there's at the bottom left, there's an option for options. We press there, and this is an Excel options bar that comes up, which has all the details option of Excel. So what I am telling you is something for advanced analysis, for statistics analysis that you can do. We go to add-in. So there are Excel add-ins which are available. How we add it, there is an option called Analysis Tool Pack. There's Analysis Tool Pack VBA. VBA is Visual Basic Analysis, which is used for visual tools. This is for Euro currency tools. So these are some add-ins. Just like in Chrome, in Microsoft Chrome, in Google Chrome, we have different additional options. Similarly, there are options in Excel to add more add-ins. This is something which is very useful and you can add it and it will be beneficial for you in your statistics related work. And this is where we can end the class. And I'm open to any questions or doubts that anybody has for today from today's class. Somebody is asking for the recording in the chat.
Yeah, the recording will be available on the website tomorrow itself. Okay, I will upload it little later in the day, so tomorrow anyone can get this recording and the 2 previous days as well. So everything will be available there, and that will be helpful for us to go back to all the explanations and to stop and to repeat once and again till we get it right.
We'll share the link of the. I will share the link of the website here.
Yes, so thank you very much, Baxis, for your explanations. And I think you have some very useful tools for multiple activities. And tomorrow we can advance a little bit more in in Excel with your explanations. Thank you very much, and thank you everybody. We have to leave now because we have class again in 10 minutes. So thank you very much. See you tomorrow at 11 here in Spain. I think 3:30 in India and 3 in Tajikistan. So see you tomorrow. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Special thanks to Tajikistan for their attendance. See you tomorrow.
See you.
Yes. See you tomorrow, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Baxi.
Bakshish, can you wait a little bit? 2 minutes?